upstairs?
Good, right?
So, just to set the record straight, you're paying for this meal.
I don't have my wallet.
I don't give me that one, man.
I really don't have my wallet.
How are we gonna pay for this meal?
Let me check, wait. There's no data here.
There's something. This is a cafe in Bombay where you can pay in bitcoins, right? Have you invested in bitcoins?
No.
Why?
I haven't decided whether I can take the bet or not.
You think it's some scam?
I'm not sure.
Because people are making a lot of money, Alex.
Yeah, it's gone from, what, $1 to $6,000, right?
And how?
I don't know. I need to figure that out.
We do know people who do know the answer to that, and they're seated across us on this table. Perhaps they'll pay in bitcoins.
Of course, sure, we can win.
Saurabh, thanks so much for joining us.
Happy to help you guys.
You're feeling charitable today for poor journalists like us?
It'll be a pleasure because there are very few places which accept Bitcoin, so it's nice to do that.
And you guys are very rich when it comes to bitcoins. That's what I've heard.
In knowledge, yes.
Let's introduce our guest and carry on with our meal, Alex.
Yes. Vishal Gupta is, as he says, an investor in Bitcoin and many other things. He wears many hats, but for the purpose of this conversation, he is an investor and a very knowledgeable person about Bitcoins. And hopefully, he'll be able to bust a lot of the myths that are around there.
And pay for this meal in bitcoins. I'm serious.
Happy to pay for them.
Saurabh Agarwal is the CEO of ZPay, which is the largest Bitcoin exchange in the country.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen them quoted everywhere. What, nearly 70% market share?
Yeah, that's right.
So we got the two right people to join us for lunch today.
Yes, especially because they're paying.
Yes, I want to understand, where did, especially Vishal, let's start with Vishal, where did this Bitcoin story for you begin? I know you started off with an initial investment of what, 24,000 rupees many years ago. Why did you do that, and how has that panned out for you?
It was an interesting story for me. So I'm a pretty avid Facebook user and engage with banter with my friends every now and then.
Right.
So there was a friend of mine who lives in LA making certain posts about something called as Bitcoin. I wasn't really aware of what Bitcoins were, but he kept continuing it. And for a couple of weeks, I kept seeing posts from him, about what there's something called Bitcoin, digital currency, and that I probably just took interest, and I started making a conversation with him, and I asked him, what is it? And he told me this is some cryptocurrency, and it's changing the world, and it's creating money out of nothing. So my first instinct was this is some kind of a scam. And I was taken aback, and then I started an argument with him, and that argument led to a series of conversation where he tried to convince me that Bitcoin is not a scam. I think by the end of it, I was convinced that there is some value and some merit to this proposition, and I jumped the bandwagon.
How long did it take him to convince you?
I think we had a 2-week banter.
You had a 2-week banter, so you're gonna have to scrunch that up a little bit because we can't speak for 2 weeks possibly. But very quickly.
So essentially, the proposition was this, right? So I was trying to convince him that there's some kind of a penny stock scam where there's some genius out there, quote unquote, who's manipulating everybody and rising the price of the stock, and he's going to dump everything, and everybody's going to cry at the end of the day. Then he explained to me the mining process, the consensus process, how Bitcoin works, how this is decentralized, how nobody owns, how everybody can check the software and transparently see what it is. As he opened up the layers for me, I started getting better understanding of what this ecosystem is.
Saurabh, so I believe it's a similar story for you because what you guys might perhaps experience 7 years ago, 8 years ago, Alex and I experiencing right now on this table because, well, we've been tracking this, when he tracks the space and I track technology, we understand the basics of it, but we've got no experiential knowledge really, right? It's all theoretical and what we've understood from experts like you guys. So the banter that he engaged in for 2 weeks and we're going to do in the next 2 minutes, how does that work? Everything that he mentioned sounds like, well, jargon to everyone tuned in right now. How does mining work very quickly when we can move on to this conversation, and how does ZPay come into the whole situation?
So firstly, what I would like to say is, why do we need to understand how Bitcoin works? Because do we even understand how money works?
Good. I mean, that's one argument. Right? There are a lot of people who do understand.
So the point is, it's because this has happened in front of you, you ask these questions. If it happened before you came in existence, you wouldn't even bother. We don't even ask how plane works, how money works, why are we storing our data on the cloud. We don't ask for that. These are very important questions.
Yes.
Similarly, when it comes to the technology like Bitcoin, which has been there only for 8 years, we have doubts because what we have seen growth is unreasonable. This is not something which really happened. Like for example, planes took years for them to actually become successful, wherein Bitcoin became successful very quickly. And that's where the doubts or being a Ponzi scam comes in. But it's got a lot of basics behind it, a lot of fundamentals, and what it uses is cryptography technology. You know, it's a cryptography product. And there's hashing, and there's a lot of tech behind it which we will not get into it because most of the users will not even understand.
But one word we should get out of the way is blockchain.
Yes.
Essentially, blockchain being something that now banks are using. Well, the National Stock Exchange is also working on it. And we have a ton of startups who really are using blockchain and pitching that technology to bigger companies as well.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but it's essentially the network that facilitates the movement of cryptocurrency.
I'll give you in 30 seconds, right? I mean, the quick bite.
All right,
What is
now?
Yeah. So what is blockchain, right? Essentially, when two people make transactions, you need a third party to become witness to any transaction for the transaction to hold true. Instead of having one person becoming witness to a transaction between two people, you put the entire network. Now, when I send you one Bitcoin, I'm not just sending you one Bitcoin and announcing it to one bank. I'm now making that announcement of that transaction to the entire Bitcoin network, and anybody is free to participate. All you need is a Bitcoin software. You download it on your computer, and you become witness to the network. It's as simple as that.
That's less than 30 seconds. So we'll give him one bonus for that. He's killed it with that.
So basically,
there's an analogy that I'm sensing. What is the analogy there? Is it witnesses when you say witnesses at an event?
So witness it's nothing, right? You're just announcing transactions. As simple as that. So your computer or anybody who's contributed a computer to the network, the computer is listening to transactions people are indulging in. That's simple as that. In your traditional system, when you make a credit card payment, there is only one entity listening. That's your bank. In this case, instead of bank, you've turned the entire world into potential witness, and anybody can participate, and you don't need anybody's permission to participate.
So that's transparency. Saurabh, you were saying.
So what I'm saying is, if you look at Bitcoin, there's three things in one. It's a store of value, it's a mode of payment, and it's a payment gateway. It's a transaction. So it's a network on which the transactions takes place. It's all three driven together. That's why it has got value, because till now, traditional currencies were only one thing. They were only mode of payment. They were never store of value, actually. I mean, they're supposed to be store of value. That's why you keep dollars or rupees with you. But the prices normally don't go up. And that's why you don't consider them a store of value like how we would consider gold. Now, Bitcoin has all three characteristics in it. And that's why people have really been looking at it, how to use it in the real world. And if you look at blockchain, it's basically a decentralized ledger system. That's a very simple way to put it.
But a point here on the store of value part, right? Because I think there are a lot of unfair comparisons, and probably you can come in here being an investor. Is that I read somewhere recently that Bitcoin has reached the $100 billion mark 4 times faster than Apple has. But it's not really comparable. That's
And Apple and Bitcoin are two very different things. Apple is a company, Bitcoin is an ecosystem.
Right. So I'm saying, should somebody look at it as an investment, or should somebody look at it purely in a transactional manner? That's my question.
It's because the total number of Bitcoins are limited, right? So we know there are going to be only 21 million Bitcoins ever created. Anything that's scarce is going to rise in value. For example, gold has been currency for thousands of years, and it's only risen in value over a period of time. So that it was rising in value and still used as a transactional currency. So there is the assumption that the value of a transactional currency needs to be static. Again, is a modern paradigm. Traditionally, all currency that we use, any means of payment that we use as currency or to exchange, was always fluctuating in value. And in reality, even the money that we use today is guaranteed to depreciate in value, right? So what I can buy for 100 rupees today, I won't be able to buy the same thing for 100 rupees another 10 years from now, because if there is more money that government is going to keep printing and throwing into the economy, the value of commodity is becoming lesser, right? So money is becoming less valuable over time.
Which is why you have to invest to safeguard your...
And that's why you're investing in assets like property, gold, diamonds, or equity, whatever you're doing.
But Vishal, it's interesting when you say this, because there'll be a lot of people watching who will claim they know anything about Bitcoin because they watched a 2-minute explainer. But since this is a conversation, we've got you guys here. I want to understand at the risk of sounding naive. If my father or my mother or my grandparents or my chachi were watching, the first concern that they'd have when you say the word Bitcoin would be, is this even legal?
So the legality of Bitcoin is complex. And why is it complex? Bitcoin is not just a currency, but it's also built-in payments network, right? So it's a currency and a payment network intertwined and built into each other. And plus there are multiple functions in execution. So the legality of Bitcoin is dictated by how you use it. Now, of course, there are no defined laws in the country, but there is nothing against Bitcoin or there is nothing for Bitcoin. So effectively what we call it is in an uncertain zone. But that doesn't necessarily make it illegal.
Right. Quick point here, because I was talking to them about it a little earlier. Is that the RBI has come out with a notification of the Reserve Bank of India.
And they had a committee which was actually monitoring
to study it and to study blockchain. They've come out with 2 notifications. One way back when. Both times they've essentially said that it's not. They haven't said that it's illegal. But
so I think maybe confusing is 2 parts, right?
Yeah.
RBI said this is not currency.
Right. Yeah.
RBI has not said Bitcoin is illegal. So there are 2 very different things.
Right.
So if your question is Bitcoin considered currency in the country, the answer is no. But if Bitcoin tradable in the country, yes.
Illegal, and it's always, so what RBI does is it's just warning users that if you want to invest in it, it is volatile, you can lose your funds, there's no one backing it up. But they never come and say that it's illegal and if you do it, you will be under jail, bars,
if that was the case, then an exchange wouldn't.
Exactly.
But I also think that, and this is just a thought, that regulators around the world, and systems around the world are a little worried because of the complexity of it.
I think more than worried, they're confused. Because it's the technology, it's not just the Bitcoin.
So if you look at Japan, for example, they've already legalized it. They've considered it as a mode of payment. And there are going to be other Western countries which are going to follow. And there are countries like US has already allowed exchanges to run in the country. There are ATS which are being filed, and soon we will see some of the ATS getting regulated. So things are changing. And India is always 2 years behind the developed countries, and this is because of other concerns.
No, but is it also because you can't really stop somebody from transacting in Bitcoin? Essentially, you can't, right?
But you can't stop anybody from transacting in cash either.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
What's the argument?
My point is
that
if somebody
government will not take decisions based on the fact that you can't stop something.
there are ways to regulate it then, in that sense.
Regulation and enforcement are 2 very different things. Anything can be regulated. Now the question really we're asking is how is it going to be enforced?
Yes.
So the enforcement, again, internet, not just Bitcoin, internet as a whole and the transfer of data, right? Because on the internet there are no physical boundaries. So I mean, like in a physical world you will have customs department which should regulate what goes into your country, what comes out of it. But in case of data, the governments don't have enough power, right? Because internet is designed by nature to be a free transfer zone. So the regulating data is not an easy task, with or without Bitcoin.
I think that's true. That's a fair point, Alex. But also, so you guys got to give us the 101 on this, right? So if Alex and I are complete duds when it comes to Bitcoin, and I say, hey, this is money I've saved up, this is my Diwali money that I've saved up, what do I do? Should I go to, a Bitcoin exchange? How did Vishal make all the money that he's made today?
Which is not simply buying Bitcoin, simple as that.
So it's the literally buying them when they're much cheaper, and then perhaps
So the first Bitcoin I ever bought was with his co-founder Mahin. He used to run a platform called Buy Sell Bitcoin.
I like the way it was named.
It's just simple buy sell Bitcoin. The first Bitcoin I ever bought was one of the co-founders they have, Mahin Gupta, and he used to run an operation called Buy Sell Bitcoin. That's where I bought my first.
How much was that for then?
I think the first time I bought Bitcoin was 2,000 rupees
for 1 Bitcoin. And it's just that we get this out there at the time of us sitting down for lunch. Roughly, what's the value?
About 4 lakh rupees today. 4 lakh on the
Vishal, you and I will remain good friends after this conversation.
So coming back to what users should do about it, we always suggest users to not to just get lured by the fact that the price has gone up from 2,000 to 4 lakhs. It's not the right way to look at it. They should look at it as a new technology and a new asset class which has come up. Study it, understand it, and understand the risks attached with it. How are you storing bitcoins? What are the exchange you are buying from, etc. Once you do that, then start with very small amounts and get a feel of it, and then try to do the SIP.
So I want to actually ask, I've been reading obviously because I didn't want to sound like a complete noob about this, but I've been reading about these forks. They're calling it hard forks, but for the longest time when I was reading that I was thinking about lunch. But anyway, I'm thinking, essentially you're splitting a currency. How does that work?
How Bitcoin works is anybody can go online, download the Bitcoin core software, install it on the computer, and everybody, as long as they're running the same version of the software, there is a consensus that let's the version 1.0. So in case you use your Apple phones, right?
Yes.
Or any Android phones, and you're downloading apps, and the app keeps coming up with new upgrades.
Yes.
It's your choice whether you'll accept that upgrade or not accept that upgrade. Now, if there is no consensus, then you and him are running two different versions of the same software. It's a split.
Right.
So what we call is a hard fork is when the bunch of witnesses say we don't accept a certain rule, and they say we don't want rule A, we want rule B.
Right.
And there is, two people can't come to a conclusion about rule A or B. So what you've created is a split. So one programmer goes out there, changes the rule to A, another says the rule will remain B.
And when that fork happens, essentially all the miners from
So essentially, if I'm a miner, all I have to do is change my software.
Yes.
So I've moved from software A, version A of Bitcoin to version B, and that change of versioning is the fork.
So essentially, assume that.
So let's say 100 people, there were 100 people on the network.
Yeah.
Now 20 people said we don't agree with your rules. We'll move out and create our own rules.
Right.
So those 20 people have created the fork.
Fork 1 and fork 2, essentially.
It's a fork, right?
Yeah.
So it's a fork itself, there are two ways.
Four, anyway. But the point being here, essentially what I've read is that suppose I am a Bitcoin user, I have 10 Bitcoin. I'm not going to say more than that because it's a lot of money. But I have 10 Bitcoin. When a fork like this happens and a new currency, in this case now Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin Gold, I will get 10 Bitcoin Gold, right?
So
You have to claim them.
Oh, okay.
And so currently in Bitcoin Gold and Bitcoin Cash, that was the status. In future, we don't know what will be the forks.
There's one coming in all
Segwit 2x.
Segwit 2x, and that's essentially what I read is that they're trying to
Increase the
speed of transaction.
bandwidth. So in a particular transaction, about 1 MB worth of space is there.
Okay.
So in the next, they are trying to multiply to 2x. So make it 2x.
Okay.
Interesting stats. But also, so you were talking about really investing in Bitcoin. Where does a Bitcoin wallet come in? Is it a lot like, are other payment wallets out there? Is it essentially the same thing with Bitcoin?
So that's where Zapay comes in. So Zapay is a wallet in which people can store Bitcoins, send and receive them, and also a platform on which people can buy and sell them. And it's similar to any of the other wallets or like WhatsApp, and similar to stock market wallets which are now coming up on mobiles. So you just download the wallets, do your KYC, and start buying and selling. Very similar to that.
And I can literally even if he has Zapay as well, I have Zapay as well,
We just transfer each other.
There's no cost, there's no charge.
So cost. If you're internally in the system, there's no
In
charge.
Zapay,
In
yeah.
Zapay.
But so if you don't go through an exchange, can you buy or sell Bitcoin? How do you do that?
If Vishal has got Bitcoins and you know him,
If you and me agree, we can make a
peer to
transaction.
peer you can do transactions.
And that will essentially be, and that's where governments are getting worried, because if he's sitting in Switzerland and you're sitting in New York.
Governments are not getting worried, governments are getting furious. The word worried is again implied.
Fair enough.
But no, there are concerns that are being raised.
Because at the end of the day, I mean, when you're clamping down on say stuff like Havala schemes, here it's just there's no jurisdiction. You're transferring.
But at the end of the day, if somebody buys Bitcoins, he has to transfer funds, right?
Absolutely.
Now, where does the funds come from? That has to
There will be a source.
There will be Havala or something happening for the rupee angle of it, not for the Bitcoin.
See, effectively, let's put it the other way around. If somebody wanted to indulge in a criminal activity, they're not really dependent on Bitcoin. They could do it in cash, they could do it in diamonds, they could do it in gold, they could do it in pretty much any kind of transaction mode. Now, the intent and the means are two very different things. Now, you don't ban rupee if somebody used money to buy drugs.
Right.
You haven't banned rupee because there was terror financing going on in the country.
Right. But then
You did something else. But
You go after the people, the bad guys.
I'm saying because the basis of this currency is obviously it's not cash. Right? It is essentially
Cash is more
completely
anonymous
digital.
than Bitcoin. Bitcoin transactions are on record for all of the world to see. When you go onto a blockchain, every transaction that has ever taken place,
What if I was on the dark web and I had to do something a little
but still the
dodgy?
transaction goes on the web, on the blockchain, right?
Yeah.
but is that
Every transaction is on the blockchain.
Yeah.
Now, if you could do do deep data analysis,
Yeah,
there are
data
ways to
analysis
find
available.
out where the transaction originated and IPs and other stuff.
That can be sourced to me, suppose. If
What kind of tools do you have with cash?
what kind? What?
What kind of tools you have to analyze cash transactions?
Cash how much tougher to detect technically.
Okay. Yeah, because it's physical transfer. This
Now,
digital.
if, like I said again, I said the same thing before. If that's the argument, Bitcoin is actually safer than cash.
Okay, because there's a digital footprint of you having
Exactly.
conducted a transaction.
It's not more interesting.
So even if you're going to ban things, I think we should start with cash. If that's the argument.
Are you talking about 500 and 1,000 rupee notes, or you just talking about cash on the whole?
I think all of it. We should all move to Bitcoin.
So, you want to buy a Bitcoin?
I can't afford
You have
it.
4. You have 4 lakhs.
By the way, you can buy Bitcoins worth 500 rupees also. Bitcoin is divisible up to 8
I
decimals.
would get a decimal
Yeah,
amount.
so you can buy a fraction of a Bitcoin. So most of the users don't even know that that's possible.
Yeah.
So it's important that they know.
This I knew, but I just saw that there's no show-off factor. Like if I sit beside him, he'd be talking whole numbers. I'll be talking decimals. What's the point? What's the point?
What's the value that matters, right?
What is the
Point 0.0002.
what's the smallest transaction? I mean, what's the average transaction size actually on ZPay, or wallets or exchanges?
So ZPay average would be in the range of about 50,000. So about 25,000 to 50,000.
Average transaction.
But but has that stayed the same?
So
Despite
the
the run-up?
prices have gone up, no? So the,
Yeah.
the average also gone up.
Okay, so it's 50,000 now.
Yeah. It would be about 10,000 earlier times.
And there's nothing stopping anyone from another country signing up for something like
No,
that.
we don't allow anyone from outside India to do it.
It's only India.
And
KYC.
we do very strong KYCs, Indian PAN card, Indian banks, etc. And then they allow to do
You're
it.
gonna ask me for my Aadhaar number?
Yeah.
Better
One
get that
more,
sorted.
one more.
Better get that
One
sorted
more
out.
Aadhaar linkage. But no, I think it makes sense. I think they're interesting points. What we can do is, throughout the course of this conversation, if you guys have any questions, queries, or comments, I'm going to request the avid Facebook junkie that Vishal is and Saurabh to perhaps come in and answer some of your queries, because I think this has been the best explainer I've ever received with some good food.
Yeah.
Now, Saurabh and I will chill. Vishal and Alex will be paying for the food because, well, he understands Bitcoins very well and he is very rich when it comes to Bitcoins. Let's pay the bill.
Vishal is the guy.
Yep, you pay the bill.
So, couple, at plenty you guys accept Bitcoins clearly.
Yes, we do.
But has anyone ever made a Bitcoin transaction here?
No, we're actually waiting for someone to pay us.
Guys, we'll be the first. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kapil, for having us.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
Thank you. And that's your first